Hey guys, what's up? It is week 273, and I wanted to get some things off my chest, just talk a little bit before we start the show. Remember, there's always timestamps, so if you want to jump to the reviews, please feel free to go ahead and do that. But I was just sitting there and thinking I've been doing this a long time, and you never do it for like the views or the recognition 100%. You do it because you enjoy the movies, you enjoy things. And I will admit, sometimes you truly do get burnt out on doing it. You get burnt out on doing a lot of stuff like this just consistently every week. But before that, I've had probably a YouTube channel, I feel like 12 to 15 years doing this stuff. And like if you kind of start breaking it down, and I'm looking there, and start to break it down a little bit, I get 9,000 subscribers. So it's like, let's say 14 years, that's less than 1,000 subscribers a year. Like, so whenever you do something, like you want to, strive for growth, you want to, do better and expand and stuff like that. But if you feel like you're kind of stuck in the same place all the time, like I definitely need to make some changes to it. And I've been thinking, it's just like, I see so many people's growth, it just blows up, right? And I'm wondering, is it the algorithm? Is it just I'm not very good at this? I'm not saying enough interesting things, or I'm just saying the same shit everybody else is saying, or is it just luck, or it's such a niche audience that it's just not really gonna go very far? Or do I need to kind of expand out? Like I noticed that a lot of people that use TikTok and stuff like that, which I'm old, I barely know how to use TikTok, if at all. They kind of just have short videos, and that leads them back to like YouTube. I see like some of these people that do pranks and stuff, they blow up, but it's a bigger audience, right? So it's like, it's wonder, do I like upload 1 minute reviews or 1 minute snippets of a review and edit it different or something to be silly and put it on TikTok and leave links? Would that work? Are there even reviews? You see what I'm saying like this? And lately, I was like going through like a midlife crisis. I had a lot of injuries, shoulder kind of something with my shoulder. I can't lift like I used to. And then so I started running more and I rolled my ankle really bad. So it's like just all this stuff piling on. I feel better now, of course. I mean, the shoulder's still screwed, but that's just what it is. But so it just starts to add up, and you're sitting there, you're thinking like, I put a lot of time in this. Should I even keep doing this, or should I just switch it up, And I do enjoy doing it, but it's very time consuming, and you definitely feel like you're stuck in the same place. And nobody ever starts to do it just for the views or all that kind of stuff, or, to get review copy, whatever, there's just so much stuff that, you could be doing otherwise. And you're just wondering, when you're stuck in the same spot, do you make a change, or you just, I'm not saying I'd hang it up. That's not something I would do. I would probably just cut back, if anything. I'm not one of these people to walk away from stuff like that. But I mean, I have had a lot of videos shot right now. Like I have a bunch of the 1980s and horror shot with other people that I need to edit. And of course, the secret top 10 I want to go back to. I have one recorded for Sexy, but I wanted to start with a certain one, and I've been holding off on that. So I have no clue when that's going to come back. And honestly, if it really will come back, I know it sounds shitty, and I always get good feedback from the people that watch. They truly do. So that's always a positive. I just wanted to say, it just doing this can be kind of discouraging at times, honestly. Like, I know I should probably try to maybe improve, do video essays, but it seems sometimes when you reach out of your comfort zone, not even your comfort zone, or you reach out of what people think you should do, or their comfort zone to watch, the videos that I do different things on, they always do the least. And that's just, probably people clicking on one new release, wanting to see it, and then moving past just to see and that's fine. So it is what it is. I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest, to hear you guys' opinion and all that kind of stuff, and a way to truly actually grow the channel, or, get some more eyes on there, or is it just a kind of a plateau? Because I know there's other horror reviewers out there, and they have thousands upon thousands. It's just insane to me. And, sometimes, subscribers and stuff, it doesn't equal, necessarily, quality and content. Sometimes people are really good, and they have way less subscribers than me, and they're much better than me. And other times it's the other way around. They're not doing much of anything, and somehow they blew up because maybe they look a certain way, or they have an algorithm, or they're just lucky, or whatever. It's just, I hit this point, like, do I start even talking about personal things on here? I know it's just like that's the kind of thing. I always got straight to the business. That was my point. I'm very private when it comes to that. When in terms of social media, it just doesn't belong out there, right? So like, would you guys want me to dive into some other things? Maybe like talk about, I was thinking about, just for fun, because my acting slowed down a lot, and it's just a lot of the people that I worked with or enjoyed working with really aren't making them anymore. And it's just, you don't want to, like, I do it because I enjoyed it. So when you stop enjoying it as much, or just a lot of obstacles and the effort you put into something, and you're just not enjoying it as much as you used to, you kind of just say, I'm just going to hold back on it. Do you guys want me to like go down all the acting credits I have and talk about the experiences or something like that? Take a walk down memory lane. There's other things I can do, And I see a lot of people probably, one thing I noticed a lot, this is just me kind of talking in general, is a lot of times you'll see on social media, somebody will be like, oh, wow, they just put this, movie up. I never heard of it on Shudder, Pumpkinhead. And most horror fans, old people like myself, are like, Pumpkinhead, new horror, but I guess it's just the idea that if they haven't had access to it, no video stores or anything like that, I guess that would be kind of a new one. People don't seek out a lot of old movies, I guess, anymore, but unless with the streaming stuff, they just wait till it comes to them. So like, what if I went down Shudder list? I know people probably do that and just shout out recommendations and stuff on older films. Whatever. Anyways, suggestions. Do I even bother starting a TikTok? Is it worth it? Will it translate at all? Minute reviews on stuff, just like cut, fast-paced editing. Would it even translate? It is what it is. So anyways, let's get into the reviews. I'm sorry for that long-winded opening, but we have a couple real doozies for you. First up is the On Earth from the On Earth Classics line, one I've been waiting for on Blu-ray for a very long time. This is Dr. Lamb, directed by Danny Lee, of course, famous actor, and Billy Tang. That's kind of like Cat 3 royalty. Now, a Category 3 movie is, the rating system in Hong Kong. They were very prevalent in, basically 1990, mid 80s to like the mid 90s. There's lots of crazy movies there. Of course, one of the most infamous is Untold Story, and, by Herman Yao, who also had gone to do Ebola Syndrome, both starring Anthony Wong. So this one does have some familiar faces in there, and it sure shares so much DNA with so many other things, and certainly the most DNA it does share is with the Untold Story. Now, I'm going to be honest here. Dr. Lamb was a movie that I had on DVD. It was one of those ones where you never knew if it was uncut or not, so I kind of avoided watching it for a long time. And so then when I realized that Arnold was going to put out the Blu-ray, I was like, well, I definitely want to watch that ASAP because it's going to be uncut. It's going to be in HD. It'd be very cool to check this out for the first time. Now, I've watched Untold Story half a dozen times. It's my favorite Cat 3 movie. I think it's just kind of amazing. And so I was really excited to watch Dr. Lamb because I knew it was kind of the precursor, one of these deals that kind of kickstarted the Cat 3 titles, or the true crime kind of horror stories from the Hong Kong cinema. So Dr. Lamb follows the... it's based on true story, and very similar to Untold Story, how it has the true crime element and everything like that, of one of two serial killers, reported serial killers or recorded serial killers from Hong Kong. And he's a taxi driver. So like we have these elements of, taxi driver in there, but then we also have the same kind of similar structure to Untold Story. Now, the Untold Story is basically about a serial killer criminal who is caught by police about the midway mark of the film, and he's forced a confession, and we kind of have this big reveal at the end. This film kind of opens up with the killer and Simon Yam. He's in a bunch of movies. He's like Hong Kong royalty as well. We open up with him being captured in the opening of the film and him kind of being pressured into the confession. Like, again, it shares the DNA with Untold Story of the cops beating the suspects, which seems to be kind of a common thing in these Hong Kong movies, and it has so many other similarities. Of course, Hong Kong cinema at this time has a layer of comedy, inappropriate to most Western viewers, I would say, even though I'm sure that the British people got it more. But as American, popping it in for the first time, if you've never seen a Hong Kong horror film, they'll have this layer of comedy after something really horrific, and tonally it could be a little jarring to people. To me, I've obviously grown to like it and grown to appreciate it. It's here as well. So essentially, like, we go to this character's entire story, and it goes over 4 murders, and it's, like I said, it has some of the police procedural big time, and then we also have like these flashbacks. It is similar to other Billy Tang movies, Brother of Darkness and Red to Kill. Now, Red to Kill is a little bit more crazy if you guys haven't seen that one, and it's funny because this movie shares so much of the same cast and crew. I believe the same writer, if I'm not mistaken. It definitely has one of the same leads in Danny Lee, who who co-directed this as well as the Untold Story. So he basically puts himself in kind of a similar role here. So this movie, after it came out, I guess, kind of lit it on the Hong Kong kind of Cat 3 movies on fire, the rating and the extreme cinema and stuff like that. You had Untold Story after this. You had several kind of true crime movies like this. So horror films that are just kind of in the extreme element, taboo breakers. So yeah, Dr. Lamb. Now, I will admit that I did enjoy it. It was a very professionally well done film with a lot of those kind of Hong Kong craziness that I've enjoyed. But I did hype it up for myself, right? Because and I should have realized, nothing's going to top the Untold Story. You've seen that movie, like I said, 6 times, so it's just one of the movie that it's one of your favorite horror films. So I did hype it up, and I try not to do that. I still thought it was really good, and more so, what I thought was it was very interesting, and it was just interesting seeing all these kind of things happen before, and where they took their inspirations from, and what it went on to inspire. The character, the serial killer himself, he has a little Ed Gein stuff going on. And Bruce Holchek and Art Edinger mentioned that in the commentary. They also did the commentary for House on the Edge of the Park by Severin and another On Earth release, Untold Story, where they talk a lot about Hong Kong and Cat 3 films. They do a very good job. No different here. They talk a little bit about the real case. They talk about all the players in there, what they went on to do, how they relate to this movie, all sorts of things like that. They actually pointed out that Simon Yao played this character, this real-life serial killer, in kind of like a Hong Kong television like program that were like these hour-long specials, and he played him in 1991, which is crazy to me. So this case originally took place in the early 80s, and he was apprehended in 83. And it took years for them to make actual film of it. They made one in the 80s, I think they said Hong Kong Butcher, which I never had seen. I think I have a DVD somewhere around here. But then they made this one in 1992. So that's really interesting to me because in 1994, there was 2 films made, The Rapist and Portrait of a Serial Rapist, both based off the other serial killer known from Hong Kong. And those movies were made right after the case. So they were made very fresh after the case happened. So that's intense. Like, those movies probably would have never been made if this didn't catch fire and the true crime thing, like the Untold Story was made. All these true crime stories were made, and it's just nuts. So they always have kind of social messaging at times in there, like Red to Kill does. The movie, as far as like extreme gore is concerned, like at the first like 30 minutes, you really don't see that much extremity. They kind of, how they catch him and they start interrogating him until about the 40-minute mark, everything starts to break down. And we see, him kind of confess to the first murder and why it happened. It's very typical in serial killer fashion, how he was triggered, something upset him and he killed. And then afterwards, he just kind of took on this God complex where he's going to go around and clean the streets. A la Travis from Taxi Driver, but that serial killer mentality that a lot of them seem to have. So he starts killing and he starts to mutilate the bodies. He keeps pieces in Ed Gein fashion, and at one point he does something to the body that a lot of serial killers would be known for in extreme kind of let's just say York Buckarett fashion. So there's a lot of these taboos being broken, and the cops are kind of ridiculous and over the top like you would expect, and I feel like I spotted every cop from Untold Story in here, and a couple extra ones as well. The heavyset guy in here is in a bunch of these Cat 3 movies as well, and if I'm not mistaken, is it the same heavy guy from The Beast from 1980? I believe it probably is. So like a lot of the same cast pops up, and the brutality, and there's a lot of weird jokes, and of course all the stuff you would expect in a Cat 3 movie. For the most part, I would like to revisit this one. So if we ever draw 1992 for a retro year, it definitely will be one that it's on the top of the list to revisit, because I think that it's definitely a contender for the top 10. It just was one that I had trouble not comparing it directly to the Untold Story, and Anthony Wong in that movie has like a masterful performance. Now Simon Yam in this movie is so over the top. Like he's very quiet and under the radar at first, and just like really deadpan. But then when they show back the flashbacks of the murders, he's literally howling and dancing and just so over the top and insanity. And it's really crazy. The outside street shots are really nice. That kind of taxi driver at the night stuff is really cool. And again, like the taxi driver idea would inspire another one by Herman Yao with Anthony Wong called Taxi Hunter, which is a really cool movie as well. So like, you really can't go wrong if you want something weird and offensive and just insane from the mid 80s. Like I would even say a lot of the other stuff that was retroactively rated Cat 3. Like I believe The Beast has to be, right. I'm not 100% sure, but a lot of that stuff like Lost Souls, it's just really intense stuff. Like so. Anyways, the special features, like I said, there's a commentary by our editor and Bruce Holchek. They do an excellent job. I always enjoy them. They have a lot of knowledge, and they did a lot of research for this, including watching several Cat 3 movies. Lamb to the Slaughter, interview with filmmaker Gilbert Poe, who initiated the Dr. Lamb film project. That was interesting, too, because he had worked in a lot of Hong Kong films, and he talks a little bit about how it came together and all this kind of stuff, and Danny Lee, and it's just really cool, and about his movie Obsession. So that was nice to see. And 3 Times the Fear, film critic James Munge on the golden era of the Category 3. Also interesting as well, anytime somebody's going to sit down and talk about a lot of the Cat 3 titles and, how they were made and all this kind of stuff and comparing them to others, I love. Cut and Run, film academic Sean Tierney, aka the Silver Spleen, remembers Dr. Lamb. Now, he didn't have that many nice things to say about the movie as a whole, but he said it's very entertaining, and the lead performance by the killer is kind of very bizarre and off-putting, directly compared to the Anthony Wong. I honestly had the same feelings when I was watching it. I was just like, Anthony Wong is like a world beater when it comes to acting. So in comparison, there's not much for me in terms of quality, but his performance is just out to lunch, I would say, and compare it to something like the I can't think of the character's name from Red to Kill, another one that's out to lunch. These crazy antagonists in these movies, just so intense. And then we have an Atomic TV interview with Simon Yam, and he seems absolutely really friendly and willing to talk about this. Mentions that this one and some of the other like Full Contact were some of his favorite working experiences. So anyways, yes, this is very cool to see these Cat 3 movies getting these nice deluxe releases from On Earth and all these other companies and stuff like that. We have, Untold Story and Dr. Lamb on Blu-ray. We have, Air 444's putting out some Hong Kong stuff as well. And we even have Ebola Syndrome on 4K. So it's a great time to be alive if you're into crazy Hong Kong films. Because honestly, when a lot of movies get released and tons of stuff gets announced, and like it goes in like these spans, like a lot of these Italian stuff will be hitting, and then you'll see Spanish stuff, and then you'll see some of the Asian stuff, and then you'll see some of the Mexican horror films. Like it went in spans, like when stuff's up and rights are up. But now we're hopefully get some more of these coming until we basically bleed this whole this well dry, because there's just a lot more out there, and there's probably some crazy titles I'd never even heard of. But anyways, Dr. Lamb, one that I'm so glad I finally got to watch in a nice edition with special features, because it's a big piece of that puzzle that I needed to fill for my horror knowledge. Dr. Lamb. Okay, the next one up is from 88 Films, and it is another pretty crazy movie, a pretty popular one, and this is another Shaw Brothers film, and this is Flying Guillotine, or Guillotine, I always say that wrong, Guillotine, Part 2. So there was like a lot of these movies that involve like a guillotine, or guillotine's the choke, right? And guillotine is the head chopping. Okay, so Guillotine here. There was a couple of these that involved this kind of crazy weapons and everything like that. So the first one I had actually not seen, and it's not directly related to this. Like it's a sequel, I think, in name only. So, oh boy, this one is a wild movie. So, it's kind of a typical kind of story, except it has so many wild, crazy moments that it kind of unfolds in an untypical way, It stands out from the pack of Shaw Brother martial arts films, because, there's always so many stories that are told in these, this martial arts club wants to fight our martial arts club, or, I'm a loner that comes into town and I'm going to make a name for myself. There's so many of these elements and everything like that, or we need to learn this new martial arts to beat the baddie. This one has like these elements and everything like that, but it also has like a cool, we have like a tyrant king running this area, and he's absolutely horrible. He's such a bad person, and basically a group of rebels from all over form together to try to take him out. So like it's him trying to find the rebels, and people kind of getting in on the best side of him and trying to get the best chance to assassinate him. But the crazy thing here is the baddie has hired people to invent this weapon called the Flying Guillotine, which it's just one of the most insane weapons in any of these movies. It is it is what it sounds like. It's kind of like a flail, right? But it's longer, like a rope or a whip, and you throw it, and this device flies in the air. It lands on your head, and it goes down and it just essentially chops your head off and pulls your head off completely. So we see this happen numerous times to numerous different characters, to a lot of, the characters that are trying to, like, that you learn to like and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of characters going on. Sometimes it can be a little confusing to try to keep track of who's who on the Rebel side, because there's a lot of, changing and stuff like that. But I just was really impressed with the amount of characters and the weapons and the fighting and the gore. Like, they're not afraid to kill people. The bad guy was absolutely insane. Also has a couple badass female characters in there, which is really nice. There's this moment where they kind of infiltrate the area and there's like a group of guards. It's kind of like what you really would kind of expect like this. There's also like a really badass guy that invents like a way to stop the weapon, and like, so they like, there's like people like weapon, like kind of like expert weapon makers trying to make one like that stops his weapon. It just gets intense, and it ends on a crazy note. Like, it's one of those ones that there's a couple that end like that where you're like, so, oh shit, it's gonna end, well, that's what we're doing. So like, I think One Arm was the one, Jimmy Wang, the Chinese boxer, I think has that kind of note where it just ends like that and you're like, oh shit. This definitely has the same kind of feeling here. So like I said, the fights are really good and they incorporate that crazy weapon, so that pretty much takes out everybody that dies on the hero side most likely gets killed by that. So as far as the special features are concerned, we have we have some books, notes, and everything. So I want to get to the commentary, art of commentary with Asian cinema experts Mike Leader and Army Vimoda again. And we also have artwork from Kung Fu Bob O'Brien and a collector's booklet notes by Barry Forshaw. So this is obviously one that has a cult following. People always list Quentin Tarantino, love this movie as well, and you could definitely tell here for sure. And for good reason. It's entertaining, it's gory, it's intense, it's just a lot of fun. It's the Flying Guillotine. So check this one out too. Flying Guillotine Part 2. Okay, the next one up is a doozy. This is from the MVD Rewind collection, and this is one that I had not heard much about. I had never seen it. It is Miami Blues, starring Jennifer Jason Leigh, Alec Baldwin, and Fred Ward. I love all three of those people. Alec Baldwin obviously has not had, some good, he's not having a good time right now, and everything has a bad, his star meter is probably not the highest, and I don't want to get into all that unfortunate accident, all this kind of stuff. So yeah, Alec Baldwin, this is the year after Beetlejuice, and that's probably the first time I ever registered Alec Baldwin. He'd obviously go on to become a huge star. And Jennifer Jason Leigh, she's always excellent, one of the best actresses ever, and she has a really kind of a role you would think she would play, but she does it really well. And Fred Ward, who is such a charming son of a bitch. I always love him ever since Tremors. And he's like a cop in this one, an older cop, and he's really funny. This movie is just off the rails weird. Like, now it's not like something crazy like I would mention, like, Dr. Lamb or The Flying Guillotine 2. It's not something crazy like that. It's just the tone is bizarre. So I put this in, I didn't know exactly what to expect. And Alec Baldwin is just wired. Like, he feels more like Stephen Baldwin from The Usual Suspects, right? He just literally is just like hyper spastic. He's an ex-con that just got released from prison, and right when within the first 10 minutes, he's committed a murder against a Hare Krishna in a weird comedic way. And Fred Ward is kind of on somebody's tail who did it. He thinks, and eventually it leads him to this. And it has like a true romance element too, because Alec Baldwin meets this call girl and Jennifer Jason Leigh, and basically they form a relationship, and she wants him to go straight, but Alec Baldwin doesn't plan on that. So one day Fred Ward catches up to him, and he ends up getting the better of Fred Ward. He takes his badge and he basically impersonates a police officer to commit a bunch of wild, crazy crimes throughout the rest of the movie. It's really comedic. It's really funny. It's in Miami, so it's brightly colored. There's moments of these bizarre, weird characters popping out. Just lots of good laughs, and really kind of insane and dark humor on top of that. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, Alec Baldwin is just unhinged, and it's a performance I've never thought I would see from Alec Baldwin, if that makes any sense. He's just really weird, really crazy. As far as Jennifer Jason Leigh, I feel like she's kind of played similar roles to this, that kind of like, somewhat, I don't want to say dullard, but she's sweet, she's good-natured, but naive. That in that kind of sense, and like, the dialogue is so weird. Like, it can't help but laugh at it. Fred Ward, again, Also, really well cast in here, kind of what you would expect. As far as the special features are concerned, there's not many, but there's one that is absolutely excellent, and I did not expect to see this. It is interviews with Alec Baldwin and Jennifer Jason Leigh. It's 26 minutes. It appears to be made for this, and they must really think something of the movie, because usually you don't get big stars to sit down and talk about something on, some movies that aren't like the big kind of tentpole movies. And it was nice to see them talk about the film, working with Jennifer Jason, working with each other back and forth, and they seem to have had a good time. And you can tell they have like a respect for the movie. And it was something earlier in their careers, and they look back on it and they enjoy it, and they have fondness for their co-stars, and that was nice to see. And Fred Ward just recently died, so R.I.P. Always a great actor, always tremendous. So yeah, check this one out. It looks good and sounds good. It does have the LPCM sound, and I noticed that a lot on a lot of the MVD rewinds. They all typically have the LPCM sound mixes, no surround sound or Dolby Digital, but it's a 2-channel system. So if you're a fan of this one, I would recommend checking it out. And if you never heard of it, give it a spin. It's a lot better and a lot more wild than you would expect. I really enjoyed it. It's pretty rad. Miami Blues. Okay, so this next one, of course, is Jordan Peele's Nope. Now I'll try to be relatively brief with this, I guess. There's going to be a first part with no spoilers, then the second part will have some spoilers. I'll be kind of quick. So Jordan Peele, obviously, this is his third directorial film. His third horror film in a row, which is nice to see, because you really don't expect, Jordan Peele. I didn't know if he was going to stay in the horror genre. Obviously, comes from a comedy background originally. So after Get Out and Us, he does Nope. So Nope has a 2-hour and 10-minute runtime. I'm just saying this just for everybody's notice. We get there to the theaters, and there's 27 minutes of trailer. They really ought to stop putting so many trailers in there, or at least give us a little, middle break and everything like that. So the movie starts, and I noticed the cast. I'm pretty happy with it. We have, some the main guy from Get Out. I'm like, okay, cool. We also have some classic kind of veteran actors in Keith David, one of my absolute favorites, and Michael Wincott, who is known for his voice and his weird kind of performances. Good actor, of course. So it starts off, and I noticed kind of a Western feel, which I dig. I'm like, oh yeah, it's brought a lot of bright lights and stuff. It's just like it's filmed in this like southwestern area on a ranch, and it has these characters that run this kind of horse kind of stunt place, and they have like a nice little story behind everything like that. And something tragic happens right in the very beginning. And like without spoiling it, this kind of leads one of the characters to go down this rabbit hole. They start to do some research. They start to notice that something's just not right around their ranch. And that's kind of what happens. And they start to dig deeper. They have some help from some other people. And yeah, what this movie does is, it has a lot of these like really suspenseful moments, really intense moments. And then in the second half of the movie, there's themes that do pop up. Themes about kind of like downplaying your trauma, or kind of like embracing your trauma to make $1. And there's also like an animal training motif kind of thing going out throughout the entire film. There was one point in the movie, I will say, that it did seem like it was a little long in the tooth, where I was like, okay, we need, and then right after I started thinking that, we get this kind of crazy payoff of intensity, and I was like, oh wow, that is crazy. So the one thing I like about the movie, there's nothing I really dislike about the film at all. I think it's really good. I think it's solid. It's not perfect for me, but what is? The thing I do like about Jordan Peele is that you could tell he has a lot of love for horror films. You can see little remnants of other horror films in there as well. So I would really give Nope a chance. This is a spoiler-free review, so I won't go into that many details about it. I liked all the characters. I didn't have much preference over one or the other on the first view. The sister and brother character, of course, that's nice to have them, and they definitely play on each other's personalities, one being more outgoing, one being more, introverted and quiet, and that works well. And that kind of deal. So, like, the ranch is also very beautiful, and there is an animal attack scene in here, which is horrific. Definitely the scariest part for me, because the animal in question is one that absolutely terrifies me, and you always hear horror stories about that animal when it comes to that. So, let's get into the spoiler part. All right, the spoilers here. If I had to explain this movie quick as possible, I would say, it's air tremors. It's essentially air tremors. We have, a group of people that are trying to survive in this kind of Western styled, cowboy, southwestern town that's isolated. And there's a creature. It's not underground this time, it's coming from the sky, it's coming out of the clouds. It's a very unique way that they did it, because at first they play it as a UFO film, but then it becomes kind of a creature feature, which I thought was really awesome. There is an amazing payoff here with Steven Yeun's character, where we actually see how the creature feeds. That part was very intense. This is the only movie that I can think of, maybe off the top of my head, there was a couple Evil Dead remake that does rain blood, but this time it rains blood all over an entire fucking house, and they have a legitimate reason for it happening. So, like, there's these moments in here that you can tell that somebody just wanted to do it. So I was like, let's have it rain blood on a house. We got to get that in there somehow. Let's have somebody sing Purple People Eater, or however the song goes. But hey, I got to bet with you that no matter what Michael Wincott says, it'll be effective, because this guy's got the voice of a god. So essentially, we're going to incorporate Michael Wincott singing the Purple People Eater, One-Eyed Purple People Eater, or whatever, and it works. Because it's Michael Wincott and the way it's set up. So that's very funny. So there's those aspects to it. Like, there's these little moments. Of course, he tries to recreate that scene in, the remix on Us of, I got, what is it, the rap song? I can't think of it. I got something. Fuck, I'm dumb. I'm old. Forgive me. But this song that he tries to do the remake, I'm a little bit more familiar with. Corey Hart, I Wear My Sunglasses at Night, and that's also very effective. It also shows you just how different things can be, right? Never would anyone think I Wear My Sunglasses at Night is going to be scary. But in this context, it can be. And that's just a cool thing of taking something very normal, very typical, and making it scary. Stephen King would do that kind of stuff, right? He would take a car or one of the monkeys with the cymbals in one of the stories and make it scary. It's just taking the ordinary or something like that and putting it in a different situation can make it terrifying. Anyways, I did enjoy Michael Wincott's kind of deal as well, because he's this director, and they show him watching like animals attacking other animals, and it's like he's just like this kind of guy that wants to get the ultimate shot, the shot no one else kind of got, the ultimate filmmaker, right? The one to do it all. So I really liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Like I said, there is a small little 5 to 10 minute segment where I was like, we can move this along a little quicker. But hey, there's right after I said that, it came on, and somebody in the editing room or Jordan Peele was like, let's speed this up a little bit, and boom, we get some really good moments there. The monster is bizarre. I've never seen anything quite like it, so that's pretty cool. Flying stingray turned parade float killer thing. Who the fuck knows? It's pretty cool. And to be honest, it plays on that UFO kind of abduction kind of storyline, right? Where you think it's going to be that. And I know this might be a hot take or anything like that, but I don't think there's ever been a truly great UFO abduction movie. Fire in the Sky has an amazing scene, and it's a fine movie. Communion has its moments, but there's not one that stands out where like that's the best movie ever. No, they're not really. They're not. There's never been one on that level of like an Exorcist or Shining or something like that, right? Or Night of the Living Dead. There's just never been the ultimate alien abduction movie that I can think of. Now, there's been aliens invading Earth, Invasion of Body Snatchers, that are absolutely excellent, but abduction movie, has there been an ultimate abduction movie? I don't know. Anyways, Jordan Peele's Nope. This one's not an abduction movie either, but it's pretty cool stuff, and it has a lot of similarities to that, and they play off that for a long time. Good stuff, good performances, all around a good film. Rated R, but not overly grotesque to the point where it might scare your kids or something, but I think that kids could probably see this and not be too messed up from it. Okay, the next one up is the Patreon pick, and of course, this is Arthur Penn, this is the Chris Rivers pick, and this is Bonnie and Clyde from 1967. And this was probably the number one movie that I was ashamed of that I had never seen, because this one is tailor-made for me. It's probably made for a lot of people, but I'm always interested in true crime. I'm interested in Bonnie and Clyde, and the director did The Chase from 1966, excellent movie, which I think Chris Rivers also picked for me to watch. It's got a great cast: Warren Beatty, Faye Dunaway, Gene Hackman, Michael J. Pollard. So just a lot of people in here. Everybody does an excellent job. I love the movie Dillinger from 1973, also based on, a real life criminal around this time, and Dillinger, Bonnie and Clyde, kind of, very much in the same kind of story, but different outcomes and different, whatever. Dillinger is probably more high profile in terms of successful criminal, if that makes any sense. But the movie Dillinger by John Milius is very comparable to Bonnie and Clyde by Arthur Penn. So a lot of this right here, Bonnie and Clyde always got called kind of that movie that was one one of those first steps towards that violent nihilism, that would go into the Wild Bunch or Night of the Living Dead and all that kind of stuff like that until We Last House, Texas Chainsaw. It was always kind of used as one of those movies that was like a stepping stone to that, or a tentpole movie in that aspect. So the acting is really great. What can you say? I mean, it's Warren Beatty, who and Faye Dunaway. They're really good, and I'm not as familiar with these actors and actresses as I should be, although I've seen them pop up in a few things. It's funny because Warren Beatty would make Dick Tracy, and he actually uses a couple of the actors in Dick Tracy, which obviously probably friends and everything like that. So I always had the idea that Gene Hackman was going to be the cop, Frank Hammer or whatever, that was chasing Bonnie and Clyde, but that's not true. He's actually plays Buck. He plays his brother, which I loved because we get to see Gene Hackman and Warren Beatty interacting with each other and bullshitting as brothers. Like I said, they kind of condense characters from the real life story, which I can understand why. Michael J. Poehler is phenomenal in it. He plays kind of the guy that nobody remembers his name. And Dub Taylor's also in here, another great character actor from a bunch of Peck and Paw movies and a slew of other kind of movies. Anybody might recognize him if they've seen any of these movies. But, it's one thing, the end of Bonnie and Clyde. You know what happens to them. But so you're kind of waiting that. But there's a lot of intense action moments when they're robbing banks and all this kind of stuff. And you like them. And it was a super interesting time in history that these criminals kind of came. It was like a continuation of the Wild West. And I know last podcast on the left covered, Bonnie and Clyde, the story and stuff like that. And they were celebrities, right? And somewhat, serial killers have become somewhat celebrities as well. But I feel like more the common man could relate to Bonnie and Clyde. And they're definitely painting this whole, dust farm kind of area where these people they lost their lives to the bank, so there's an way to get revenge on the bank. So anybody that robs a bank, they're like, well, fuck the bank. No one really gives a shit about the bank because the bank did all these farmers dirty. So it's just kind of like, in a way, a kind of anti, establishment movie in some aspects and all this kind of thing too. It's a really kind of cool movie, and they definitely put that in there as well, but they also show the dark side to them. And there's the element with Warren Beatty, who's impotent. Originally was supposed to be homosexual, because I always believe that was a rumor, from Clyde being in a lot of the prisons, whatever it was. I'm not 100% sure on the accuracy of that or what, but anyways, it's really great. I mean, newsflash, Bonnie and Clyde is an excellent movie. I mean, what is there to say? It's obvious, but I'm finally glad I got to watch it. There is some special features on here. New 40th anniversary commemorative documentary, Revolution, the Making of Bonnie and Clyde. And they go into casting it and stuff, and they get a lot of the people in here to do interviews, a lot of the big actors and everything, including Gene Hackman and Warren Beatty, and I believe even Faye Dunaway. So, and also one of the funniest characters in the movie is Estelle Parsons. She's fucking hilarious, and I think she was nominated for an Oscar. I think she might have won. A bunch of these people were nominated. She's the wife of Gene Hackman, and she's constantly panicking and everything like that. But Gene Hackman, also great, right? I mean, is one of the greatest actors of all time. I would say one of the greatest living actors. I mean, he's still alive. And then we have a History Channel profile, Love and Death, the story of Bonnie and Clyde. Warren Beatty wardrobe test, additional scenes, theatrical trailer. Yeah, I mean, anybody that's not seen this should definitely see it. I'm a big fan of, couples on the run, including Badlands, True Romance, Natural Born Killers. And I like pretty much all those movies. And this is one of the ones that was, the big one of the tent poles of that genre. And I think everybody should see it, of course. And I finally got to watch it, and it's a big blind spot for me. Kind of shameful. Definitely shameful. Not kind of. Majorly shameful. All right, guys, let's hop into those 1980 movies.
They did this to you! They're trying to turn us against each other! Just look at them. What do they know about friendship anyway? I'll get them. You watch. I'll take care of those sons of bitches.
Watch it, Alan. I'm shooting.
Oh, good Lord. It's unbelievable. It's horrible. I can't understand the reason for such cruelty. It must have something to do with some obscure sexual rite, or with the almost profound respect these...
Getting very careless. Blood in your hair. What will we do? You want to look pretty, don't you? pretty for me.
I can't believe you're not afraid.
All you have to do is piss on it.
Goody camp blood, ain't you?
God damn it, Ralph, get out of here. Go on, get. Leave people alone.
You'll never come back again.
Oh, shut up, Ralph.
It's got a death curse. Evil.
Down my leg! Down my leg!
I'm here. You're here. There's a fog bank out there.
Messenger of God. You're doomed if you stay here.
Demanding everything, including blood.
John, I want this material burned. All of it.
I ain't the crazy one. Remember?
In the lake, the one who attacked me, the one who pulled me underneath the water. And he's still there.
Used servitude.
I think you will all meet again. In hell.
I'd have mercy on his soul. He was one ruthless son of a bitch.
Wendy. Stay away! Darling, light of my life. I'm not gonna hurt you. You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.
Well, Dad, are you proud of me now? Do I measure up? Huh?
My son was a son of a bitch, and he was no good. That's it. My son is dead. I don't want to talk about him no more.
Cindy. Oh, Cindy. You're gonna die.
Mater lacrimarum.
Ma'am,
Mater tenebrarum.
we didn't find any boy.
Mater suspiriorum.
You know as well as I do, it takes all kinds of critters to make Farmer Vincent fritters.
I wonder who the real cannibals are.
All right, the first up is one that I seen years back, and this is The Island. This is what is it? Who did this? Michael Crichton was the writer of the book, I believe, and it's directed by Michael Ritchie. Now, this is weird. The day before I watched this, the day after I watched this, David Warner died. David Warner is in this film. Classic character actor, excellent actor. He's in, In the Mouth of Madness, Waxwork, the Peckinpah 3 movies he did with Peckinpah. He's just Time Bandits, time after time. He's just one of the best character actors. I've always been a big fan of him. One of my friends' actually favorite actor is David Warner. So, yeah, anyways, The Island. Like I said, it had been a while. Michael Caine's in this along with David Warner. And yeah, so anyways, Michael Caine is a journalist, and he realizes that a bunch of people are going missing, in I believe like the Florida coast and whatnot. I believe that's where it's at. Yeah. So he wants to go down there. He's got his kid for the weekend. Him and his wife are estranged. He goes down there. And, he takes his kid on this kind of like this route, and the worst thing happens. Basically, he's kidnapped by pirates. So essentially what's happening is these pirates have been living out here in this civilization forever, for quite a long time, actually. And they kill anybody they come across. They pillage like pirates do, and they kidnap the young children and raise them as their own. So Michael Caine is spared because they want him to mate with the woman of the husband he killed when he initially was attacked. And basically, his son's starting to kind of be turned into a pirate by David Warner, who is the leader of the pirates. The opening kills in this movie are super intense. You watch those, and there's a group of old fishermen, or kind of like guys that are on this like charter boat, and they're killed, and it's a brutal murder. Like axe to the head, somebody's belly is split open on the side, and the belly is split open so graphically, I was like, oh boy, I don't remember that being so rough. It's really rough stuff. The ending is also super memorable because, it's the Navy versus pirates, and there's a high kill count involving, a gun a similar gun that would be used in something like the Wild Bunch. That's just a slight spoiler there. Probably a major spoiler. But anyways, a lot of people die by that gun. It's pretty intense stuff. Michael Caine is always good. David Warner is always good. Some of the side baddies are memorable and creepy and weird and entertaining. Yeah, but, it does slow down a bit in parts. It's a little long. It's like almost 2 hours. I think it kind of wears out its welcome just slightly. But it's in a beautiful location. It's got a cool concept. And the opening and the ending are really top-notch. So overall, I really like the movie. I think it's pretty good. There is a character actor in here. There's a couple character actors you'd recognize. The guy from stuff like Serpent and the Rainbow. He pops up in here. He has some funny lines. And the pilot. The pilot actually has my favorite line in the film. I'm going to just say it because they set this up brilliantly too. So essentially he's flying this small little plane. It's illegal for him to be doing this. He's helping, Michael Caine out. Probably getting paid a decent amount. So basically, he said there's a pig on the plane, and he says, "Don't worry about it. I'll put her under." You don't want the pig freaks out in the air. You don't want a 500-pound boar losing their shit, going ape shit when you're 500 feet in the air. Whatever he says, but basically he says to the kid, he's like, "Here, put this hat on. It's illegal for me to drive with one pilot." He says, "One time I tried to put it on the pig. Bitch bit me." It was absolutely, it's just the way his delivery is, the way it's set up is absolutely one of the funniest lines of 1980. But yeah, as far as the special features are concerned, there's absolutely none. You get the DVD, you get the Blu-ray. I don't know why no one wanted to talk about this one. It's got kind of a middling reputation. Some people kind of like it, some people hate it. I think it's pretty solid, and it's much better than I remembered. Yeah, so I would check this one out. Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, the next one up is Island Claws, and is a rewatch with this one as well. It had been a long time. This is a Code Red Blu-ray, and the actor in here that I most recognize is Robert Lansing. Robert Lansing was a television actor in a lot of stuff, but he turned in a tremendous performance in the film Scalpel. If nobody's ever seen Scalpel, Arrow Films put that out. He's great in it. He's really solid in this one as well. So essentially what happens here is there is this lab that is doing these experiments on these crabs. They're trying to make them grow rapid, so they can have more food, yada yada yada. At the same time, some active power plant screws up and something gets in the water. Of course, you know what that means. The crabs get ultra aggressive. They're getting bigger, and there's probably a giant crab out there ready to eat people. So the movie does follow that storyline and follows a lot of the characters that are involved with that. Some people that work at the lab, some people that live in this community, and of course they're both going to meet. So essentially, a lot of the movie is spent with a lot of the characters of this small community. They definitely have this kind of weird quality about them. I like it. It's a small town community, a lot of character actors, or so character actor seeming people. Maybe they didn't do too much after this, but they all kind of got their look and their demeanor. And we also kind of add in this element of, Haitians kind of illegally coming here, and then there's a racism and turmoil between them. But, that is settled in a certain way, because when everybody realizes there's more important things to take care of, and stop blaming, the Haitians for this stuff, it's a fucking giant crab, then, it surprisingly comes together better than a lot of the other movies would. A lot of times, these people in movies just go nuts and they refuse to work together. That happens in so many movies. So, anyways, Island Crabs. It's pretty solid. I mean, animal attacks movies, I don't know what you expect from a movie about giant crabs. There's only one giant crab, but I enjoy seeing him. He doesn't move that well. Like I said, Robert Lansing steals the show. There's a lot of drama and backstory between them, and the movie probably is very guilty of just people stopping and talking forever and giving this backstory instead of a lot of crab action. The crabs don't kill people as violently as one would expect or as gory, but I like the location, I like the setting, I like the small town feel. The setup is very typical, and it feels a lot like a 70s animal attacks movie, even though it is 1980. And the movie itself, I enjoy it. I do. And this is a rewatch. I enjoyed it more this time around. And Robert Lansing is charming. He's charming in the film, although he's not really the main character. He's supporting. He definitely steals the show. The crab doesn't make that many appearances. He is in the very end. There is a really tremendously sad scene involving a dog. I won't spoil that, but the way that's done, it's really, you can see the acting in the actor's eyes. Who I don't want to spoil whose dog it is. It's kind of obvious. Robert Lansing, fucking the sadness in his eyes really works and sells that scene. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Good stuff. Time to end the kind of crazy beach, water theme here from 1980, and we're going to talk about Blood Beach. This is a DVD import. The thing's never got a Blu-ray, or it's never properly had a Blu-ray release, or even a stateside release. I have a VHS, and I have this import from Germany from Jam Pictures. Yeah, you can also find it online, and it's kind of an uncut, like put together extended version. It stars David Huffman, who I'm not familiar with, but we got John Saxon, who I absolutely love. This is the third horror film that he's in for 1980, along with Beyond Evil, and of course Cannibal Apocalypse. We got Burt Young, who is an excellent actor. Everybody knows Burt Young from the Rocky films. And we got Mariana Hill, who's in this year's Schizoid, and also one of my favorites, Messiah of Evil, where she plays kind of someone who's unhinged, unreliable narrator type, and she's excellent at that. So yeah, I've covered this one before on the VHS Voyage, and I was never too happy with the movie, to be honest. But rewatching it this time, maybe I came around. Maybe it's just I knew what to expect. So what we have here is people are getting sucked under the sand. A great premise, right? Terrifying premise, because everyone's wondered, when they're running on the beach or something under the sand is just grabbing them. It's also got a great tagline: just when you thought it was safe to get in the water, you can't get there. And John Saxon definitely says that. So it basically follows, I think he's like some sort of Marine police officer, and a woman he knows, his almost stepmom, or no, his almost in-law mom. He was about to marry her daughter years ago. That whole story unfolds. Disappears on the beach. We know she was eaten by this creature. And so, Mariana Hill shows up, that's the daughter, and they start kind of like rekindling their relationship. At the same time, there's cops trying to find out whatever, what's going on here. And John Saxon's the captain. He has a couple really good speeches, interactions with people. And Burt Young is a cop from Chicago that constantly will nonstop talk about Chicago. He's like, in Chicago, we don't do this. That guy from A Different Place that always says how much better his place is, or how. So he's entertaining. He's very funny in it. And he probably is one of the highlights along with John Saxon. So essentially, they just try to figure out what's this thing in the beach eating people. It does happen a few times where it attacks. None of the deaths are overly well done, but it is scary just to see somebody get sucked under the sand. I mean, they're well done, but they're not gratuitous, if that makes any sense, except one, which is where a would-be rapist attempts to attack this girl under the boardwalk, and he loses his weapon. That's a great scene. It's very hilarious. It's very exploitation-like, and you just kind of get just desserts right there. Yeah, so anyways, it's fine. The ending is a little kind of a letdown, because you kind of get a glimpse of the monster, and then they definitely leave it open for a sequel. Why didn't we get Blood Beaches? It would have been quite good. I don't know. But anyways, it's an okay movie with a great premise. Great concept, okay execution, a little dull, a little too much talking, a little too much procedural stuff. And again, the lead actor, not bad, not horrible. He's the least interesting part of the movie. So that tends to happen in a lot of these movies. So Blood Beach from 1980, not going to make my top 25, but well worth a watch if you're into these kind of B movies and the idea is cool. So check it out. When I started 1980, the last person I expected to see a movie from was fucking John Huston, director of Treasure Sierra Madre, Maltese Falcon, one of the greatest directors of all time. He also pops up in Chinatown as an actor, a very memorable voice. So this one is called Phobia. This is a Blu-ray from Kino Lorber, and yeah, as Paul Michael Glaser, who I believe was from Dukes of Hazzard. If I might be incorrect there. It's been a long Starsky and Hutch. Jeez, Dukes of Hazzard. I'm a dum-dum. Sorry, I mixed up Starsky and Hutch and Dukes of Hazzard. I used to see Dukes of Hazzard here and there on television. Never watched Starsky and Hutch growing up. Just never really played, or I avoided it. So yeah, this is a bizarre one. It opens up in a bizarre fashion as well. We have this doctor with this new treatment, and he's like having all these people face their phobias head on, and you just kind of get into their heads, and they're all kind of eccentric criminals, or they have a criminal element, and that's why they're at this hospital taken out of the prison for this experimental stuff. And there's just lots of crazy, weird stuff going on here in general. We have somebody afraid of heights, somebody afraid of snakes, somebody afraid of, crowds, all this kind of stuff. And fairly quickly, one of the patients, while they're out trying to overcome their fears, is killed in a bombing attack that the police believe is meant originally for, the doctor. So that's basically what happens here. The cop that comes in, I think his actor's name is John Colicos, and he's also in another 1980 movie, in The Changeling, where he plays, I think, another cop, and he's pretty crazy in that. So basically, cops get involved with this, and they start to try to figure out who is the suspects and all this kind of stuff, while more of these patients start to get killed and by their phobias. It's okay. It's a nice little thriller, some cool deaths, and the reveal is pretty wacky, some psychological stuff going on. I mean, a lot of people probably hated on it because it was made by such a great director. They expected a lot more from it, but what you get is okay. I enjoyed it myself. It looks really good. It sounds really good on Blu-ray. There's an audio commentary by Carl Koop of Canucksploitation and film historian Jason Pinowski. Interview with lead actress Susan Hogan. Interview with actress Lisa Langolis. And I think she's the one who mentions, a lot of people hated on this movie, but let's see you being a John Huston movie. Yeah. And like, the movie's not bad. Like, it gets a lot of low ratings, and it's just not as bad. It probably attracted an audience that weren't used to watching horror movies from 1980, and I know you expect a little bit more from John Huston, but this would make a good double feature or a similar double feature with Schizoid from this year. It has the doctor, the patient, mystery kind of element. Very similar to Schizoid, actually. Phobia and Schizoid, they kind of go hand in hand. Okay, now I'm going to be a little bit more brief with these Hammer House of Horrors than I should be, but the first one up is going to be Guardian of the Abyss. So, Guardian of the Abyss, I forgot to write who directed these, because usually all these ones, they usually have like one of the directors is usually somebody that was kind of a Don Sharp, who directed a bunch of Hammer movies, a couple of the Draculas and whatnot. Did he do Kiss of the Vampire? Yeah, so he did that. So Guardian of the Abyss was a pretty wild one. Basically, what we have here is a cult one. We have a cult Hammer House of Horrors. So this woman is basically, I think she bought an estate or something like that, and there's this weird mirror there. And this guy that she knows tries to buy it from her for a pretty decent price. I'll give you a $5 for it. Then he's like, you know what, I'll give you a $50 for it. She calls over a friend who's like an antique dealer, and he says, I'm going to go get this appraised, yada, yada, yada. So after a while, this mirror is kind of a main focus, and we have this woman who enters the picture, and she's like apparently escaping from this cult and all this kind of stuff here. So yeah, that's basically what happens. And so there's a lot of twists and turns here. We have like the two people kind of like looking into the mirror, and like this guy trying to figure out everything until there's like a big reveal that's actually really kind of a nice curveball here. Yeah, and the cult is cool. The motives are nice, and like I said, the twist is really good. So this one is solid, a solid Hammer House of Horrors. I don't have all that much to say about it, but yeah, like I said, it's something kind of in the vein of a Wicker Man, but obviously not as strong as Wicker Man or as elaborate or as unique as the Wicker Man, but still, I guess it would be kind of in the same vein as something like that. Okay, next up we have The Two Faces of Evil, directed by Alan Gibson. Now, did he do Crescendo, or did Don Sharp? Somebody did Crescendo, or was that Peter Sasdy? I get mixed up. That's another Hammer movie. But The Two Faces of Evil. Now, this one I dug quite a bit. So, in the very beginning, we have a family of three driving during a storm, and they're kind of on their way to their new house, and there's a hitchhiker they almost hit and a slicker. So they pick him up. This guy immediately attacks the husband, and they have this big crash. The wife wakes up in the hospital. She doesn't remember what happened. The husband has lost his chance to speak. He cannot talk, and the son is fine, but she starts to talk to the police and all these doctors, and she starts to kind of explain what happened, and they want to know what happened as well. And she starts to have these flashes of memory that this criminal and her husband got in a scuffle. So she ends up bringing her husband home, and he cannot speak because he had a injury to his throat. And as we understand, she had a head injury. So it's kind of these ideas. There's like what's reality, what's fiction, what's caused by the head injury, and all this kind of shit going on. And after a while, it starts to go down this rabbit hole where she's starting to suspect her husband not being her husband, and some sort of body snatcher doppelganger story, which is really cool. And the end twist, I just loved the end reveal, the creepiness. It's just these are the kind of stories I tend to enjoy when it comes to sci-fi. So Two Faces of Evil puts up as one of my favorites from the Hammer House of Horrors. So yeah, check it out. And the last of the Hammer House of Horrors is The Mark of Satan. Now this is a bizarre one. Like the only one I guess a movie I would explain this to would be like Pi. If anybody's ever seen Pi, and that's a movie about paranoia and math and just weirdness, seeing the mathematical equation pi everywhere. So this starts to happen to this guy. He starts to hear the number 9 everywhere. 9 here, 9 there. He works in this medical facility. I'm not sure exactly what he does. Is he like clean up bodies for doctors? Anyways, he gets pricked by this needle, and he starts to get even more paranoid. He believes that the doctors are out to get him to poison him for some weird nefarious reason. And as it goes on, like, it gets more intense until he actually, you know, crosses a line that he can't come back from. And everybody that he sees in his life, he thinks is out to get them, and he has these flashes and these paranoia things, and it all comes back to the very opening of it. And I think it works pretty well. It's fairly effective, a solid weird one, you know, those kind of ideas that I bet the more you watch, the more you'll pick up on. Although it is short, it's worth checking out. You know, and this is one of these ones that it could have been all these ones, all of them feel like they could have been half an hour and been improved, or hour and a half and been improved. That's kind of the one downfall about the Hammer House of Horrors. Either flesh it out or cut it. That's like the weird hour mark movies are always like that for me. Sometimes, you know, they wear out their welcome even in that. But the Mark of Satan I thought was pretty good. All in all, the Hammer House of Horrors, I'm glad I watched it. I don't know how I would rank them all, to be honest. So I'm going to go through all of them really quick. Witching Time I thought was okay. 13th Reunion was a little better. Rude Awakening I thought was very good. Growing Pains, that one was good. House That Bled to Death I thought was a little underwhelming. Charlie Boy I thought was one of the better ones. Silent Scream I liked because Cushing. Show of the Full Moon was okay. Carpathian Eagle was pretty solid. Guardian of the Abyss I thought was pretty solid. Visitor from the Grave I did not care for. Two Faces of Evil is one of my favorites. Mark of Satan was also pretty good. So yeah, there we go. Just kind of a rundown on all of them. So yeah, I don't know. I rank them. They're all from 2.5 to 3.5 stars for me. Not out of 5. Nothing really breaks that 3.5. So Hammer House of Horrors, cool stuff. Yeah, and a bunch of, you know, veteran Hammer directors, including Peter Sasdy, Don Sharp, Alan Gibson. Okay, it came to my attention. I absolutely forgot to talk about one of the movies I watched. So this was one from 1980, and it's going to be very brief because the movie was so bonkers and weird, and I just don't know all that much about it. It is the Horrible Honeymoon Tour. Now, what I did here was it was only available in a VCD rip, and I couldn't really find anything about it, so I had to pull the files. When there's a VCD rip, it has 2 audio streams, and when you convert it to an MP4, it plays both at the same time. So basically, I had to pull that file, put it in Adobe, fill left speaker with left or whatever to get the English one, and it was a very poorly, over the top, ridiculously dubbed English track. So essentially what happens is these couple are getting married. I believe it is the woman's father is a scientist. He is murdered, and basically they're going on their honeymoon, and what's happening is that they're attacked by this hand. Just a severed hand, is kind of going around the area and attacking everyone. There's a couple people that start to like snoop around the area to look for something, and it turns out the hand attacks them. Well, we come to find out it was all a crazy medical experiment gone wrong, and there's like an exposition dump. It's really weird. The hand is like partially like shadowed in the effects and everything. It's just kind of bonkers to think that there was a Taiwanese, it's technically a Taiwanese film, that was about a severed hand crawling around and killing people. Now, I can't tell you all that much about it because it did have some really dry spots in there, but you know, it's a killer hand movie from Taiwan from 1980. Super rare, super weird. If anybody really wants to check it out, reach out to me. It's not the best quality one, of course, and there's some audio issues as you could tell, but yeah, just a weird one, and one I'm glad I got to watch. You know, I try to watch a little bit of something from every country and every kind of type of movie, and I didn't know it was going to be a killer hand movie, so when it actually did pop up, because there's not much on the movie, but yeah, anyways, I laughed out loud when, like, because the father dies in the beginning, but they're like reading a note and it's like overdubbed, and he's like, I am your, it's so bad, it's so over the top, but yeah, it is not exactly an easy watch without context and without, you know, some stuff behind it, so it was okay. I don't know, I've seen objectively worse movies from this year, but this is, you know, towards the bottom, unfortunately. Maybe with, you know, a remastered edition, some context, you know, a better dub or just a subtitled version. Horrible Honeymoon Tour could be a little bit better, but it's still a little interesting, and I'm glad I watched it. Hey guys, what's up? We're here for You Ain't Seen. I picked this one for you. It is the 1986 John Carpenter classic, Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, this movie is wild. It's really kind of, there's not very many movies like it. It's John Carpenter's kind of take on the weird mysticism, kind of karate action, horror, romance stories, movies that they had in like China and maybe Hong Kong at a certain point. But it's just a wild movie. It stars Kurt Russell, of course, Kim Cattrall, and a whole lot of Chinese people, including Victor Wong and James Hong. Victor Wong's in a slew of movies. He's in one other John Carpenter movie in Prince of Darkness, where he plays a great role. He's also in Tremors, Fatal Vacation, just kind of a staple in genre films. James Hong is in probably over 200 movies. He's in stuff like The Vineyard. He's in everything. Very memorable character actor as well. Yeah, it also has the Joey, I can't remember his name, from Prince of Darkness as well. And it has a bunch of other people that pop up in martial arts films, and they play some crazy characters in this one. Boy, oh boy, this is a weird freaking movie. It felt like Carpenter to you, but not like Carpenter at the same time, right?
I don't know if it necessarily felt like Carpenter.
The score was very Carpenter.
The score was very Carpenter-ish. You know, I haven't seen that many Carpenter movies, so I don't really...
I mean, you've seen Prince of Darkness, Halloween, you've seen The Thing, you've seen In the Mouth of Madness, you've seen... I don't know if you've seen Escape from New York. You've seen all those.
All of them are so different, though. I don't know.
There's a tone. There's something in there that you can see in Carpenter, I think. I think this one is just more lighthearted than a lot of his other stuff, and it was really nice to see him do that. So the plot is as follows. Kurt Russell is a goofy truck driver who is just rambling. He's basically if John Wayne was a moron, is how he plays it. And he's really fun. John Wayne in all his movies just played a doofus. It kind of is like a slapsticky John Wayne type character.
It gave me, like when we were watching it...
you were embarrassed for him?
I wasn't embarrassed for him. I wasn't a big fan of his character. It was just a little bit obnoxious. But, like... if it was like a remake, I felt like, it'd be like Chris Pratt vibes. I really wanted to see Chris Farley play the role, though, because I think that he probably would have meshed with it better. But it's about 10 years too early for, I feel like, Chris Farley to be...
he was dead by 96, I think.
Who, Chris Farley?
He died in 98 or something.
Wait, when did this movie come out?
86.
Yeah, I think it was
5 years. Well, like 8 years. 7 years. Chris Farley didn't have a long shelf life. He didn't have a big career.
No, but I feel like for whatever reason...
Chris Pratt's dead on. If they remade it, it would be Chris Pratt.
It would be Chris
Kurt
Pratt.
Russell even played Chris Pratt's dad in fucking Guardians 2. So let's get to the plot. Boy, this is weird. So Kurt Russell one day he is playing gambling. And his friend owes him some money, so he drives him over to pick it up. He ends up getting in between a gang war between two groups, and in the middle of it comes out this necromancer? Not a necromancer, or
I'd say more like a lich.
A lich in James Hong, and he sees all this magical stuff. He ends up getting tied up into all this, and he wants to help his friend get his girlfriend back because she's kidnapped at the airport. So that's why they initially get entangled in the gang war. They chase after the guys who kidnapped his buddy's girlfriend. Kim Cattrall also gets kidnapped, and we realize that James Hong has this big ceremony that at a certain time he has to marry a green-eyed woman and sacrifice her to the gods so he can get a human body again. He has 3 goons in thunder, rain, and lightning. They all have pretty... one of them has a big, extensive career, but they've all been in movies. One of them was in a couple Shaw Brothers movies. So, yeah, and what ensues is a roaring adventure that doesn't stop. It's just nonstop. There's creatures, there's special effects, there's comedy, there's romance, there's a lot. It's just a big smorgasbord of insanity, and it's not quite as intense as something like Seventh Curse or as gory. It's more lighthearted.
Yeah.
I feel like, what are some of those those big kind of Chinese ghost story? I really like to watch those big epic movies like that. I've seen a lot of Hong Kong, but most of the Hong Kong stuff I've seen, or Chinese stuff, has been kind of on the sleazy, gritty, dirty side, even if it is magical.
Yeah,
like Erotic Ghost Story.
or Erotic Ghost Story is a lot of fun. But yeah, I feel like a lot of the... What, is that one a Hong Kong one? Is that one a cat one?
Yeah, it's
good. And I wonder if it's just because, we were looking at like the cat titles, if we fell into like the, the more sleazy side of what these are. Is that? Yeah, that's one we watched.
Yeah, this is great.
No, yeah, it's very adventure-y. Like it almost kind of gave me Goonies vibes.
It's the 80s, man.
Yeah, but we're like wandering through the sewers. Like half the movie takes place in a sewer. It's really fun. I loved
James Hong.
Is he the villain?
Yeah, and he keeps. Remember when he's in the wheelchair and he's a little old guy?
You see, that part was, like his old makeup looked really cool. I mean, it looked like 2 inches of latex on his face, but no, it looked really cool. But like when he was in his like ancient Chinese like demon walking through walls form, I'm like, he looks kind of cool.
He was huge too.
He was really huge. And yeah, the 3 storms, is that what they were called?
They're badass.
They were really
great
cool.
goons.
And every time that they popped up, I'm like, okay, this is going to be really fun. The characters, like the ragtag group of heroes was like
bizarre.
It was bizarre. It was like kind of rushed. Like I really liked the reporter girl,
April O'Neil.
Yeah, I don't know why she was there. There was also another friend. So you have Russell Crowe and
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell and his friend, and there was a second Chinese guy.
Yeah, he was. He came in and helped. And so did Victor Wong.
Victor Wong had something to do, but like
he was the magical guy too.
The other Chinese guy was like, "Hey, I'm here," and then it's like, "Hey, you stay with the reporter," because he.
It was weird. I know, but they're just fun. They have a lot of funny lines.
They do have a lot of funny lines. But it was like you introduced this like varied cast, and it's like, no, we just want Victor Wong to show up and take care of it.
I love that when it's just like Kurt Russell's the dumb shit he's saying. He's just like, when you're out in the middle of the night, you're like, what is he going on about? They don't even make any sense sometimes. But I love Kurt Russell. I mean, to me, he's like one of the most charming actors of all time. And the range he has within the Carpenter movies is pretty interesting. I've never watched the Elvis movie. I should. But from Escape to New York to The Thing to Big Trouble, he's Escape from L.A. has been a long time. But those 3 kind of characters that he plays are completely different. And tonal and everything. And Kurt Russell's just, I grew up watching a lot of Kurt Russell with The Thing and Tombstone. And he's just I feel like my generation's John Wayne. Even a little older than me,
he
to
was
a certain extent.
Tombstone?
Yeah, he's Wyatt Earp. He's the main guy.
Oh yeah. I don't know who Kurt Russell is.
You're a sick person.
I'm not a sick person.
You're very
perfectly
sick.
Healthy.
So like I said, the special effects are fun. I should mention Al Leone's in here. Stuntman, actor. He gets killed by every single action star of the 80s. But yeah, I don't know what much more to say about it. It has wild special effects. It's over the top. And like tonally, like the special effects, I would compare them to something like maybe like the weirdness that you would see in Ghostbusters or like House, like where the creatures are really over the top and weird, like, and
they're
kind of goofy in a lot of ways.
Like the floating eyeball thing.
He looked awesome.
He looked awesome, but it gave me. I was like, is this Dune? Like, am I watching Dune?
Am I watching Ninja Turtles?
Right.
Like, it's so funny the movies that aren't Ninja Turtles or better Ninja Turtle scenes in them than Ninja Turtles. I love the movie. Like, I don't think we have that much more to say about it. It's a breakneck speed. It's also good for family. It keep your kids entertained, I think, because it's just nonstop and it's not too gratuitous or anything. It's PG-13. I think it's pretty friendly. I think that probably got PG-13 because there's probably slight language in it, like shit and stuff like that.
Is there nudity in it? I
No.
I don't think so.
No, it's PG-13. It's the same rating as Tremors. Which one do you think is more appropriate for kids? This is probably more appropriate than Tremors.
I think that this one's a bit more appropriate than Tremors. Tremors is
just the language, but I love Tremors.
There's the language in Tremors, and I think that Tremors is scarier. Like the concept is scarier.
When we watched, I watched it with my nephew and niece. Towards the end, when like the Tremors attacking, Wilder got on the chair, like the couch, and stood up, all worried about it because he's still worried about all the characters.
But they got the kind of like the Space Worm movie.
I don't know, they're like one of the worms.
Yeah.
No, but anyways, I love Big Trouble. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I'll look through the book. What would you give it?
Like a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I mean it's for what it is.
It's a fine movie. Yeah.
For what it is, it's a 5. I mean, there's like not too many movies like it,
Mm-hmm.
This is John Stanley's Creature Features, Big Trouble in Little China, 3 out of 5. Ghost Kung Fu, a monster subterranean Chinese city, and a touch of mysticism. Ingredients for a lively fantasy adventure, but director John Carpenter is only partially successful. The main problem is nothing about this martial arts ghost story ever ignites the viewer. The best thing is Kurt Russell as a wisecracking truck driver who thinks he's John Wayne. I haven't read this before, but I mean, he's swept into a mystery in which a 2,000-year-old demon must marry the heroine in order to turn back into a man. Action, comedy, and light show effects are part of the brew, but it still emerges lightweight. Dennis Dunn and Kim Cattrall. I disagree. I feel like he is the John Stanley's a little against fun to me.
Me too.
Do you think he's against fun?
No, I'm against fun.
That's good. What are we watching next week then?
When I want to watch another Chinese movie, but the problem is when I only just now remembered what we watched last week, like now this moment, and.
You ever heard Chinese Ghost Story? I've never seen it. There's 3 of them.
Big
epic movies.
Because when there were a few of them when I was getting in, when I selected Chinese
Sex and Zen, I think was one that you were interested in.
I think that's the one I want to watch.
With the horse stick?
Do you have it?
I think I do have a copy of it on DVD.
If we have it, or do you want to do Chinese Ghost Story?
I don't have the Blu-rays of Chinese Ghost Story, but I believe I can rent them.
Blu-ray?
What? I mean, they never had a proper release in the States on Blu-ray. There is an import, but we can find them to watch just for this. And when they get released here, I will purchase them. That's how I operate usually. I was wondering if Chinese Ghost Story's in here. Now, like, I know they're big movies. I just have not seen them. There's some other Asian movies. I got some right here that maybe you haven't seen.
I don't know if I want to do Sex and Zen or Chinese
Did you want to do
Ghost
something
Story.
more magical? Because this Armor of God movie has Jackie Chan, and it looks like a lot of fun. I've never seen it. Unquestionably the most popular martial arts actor. I'm trying to find what it's about. Heavily inspired by Spielberg series, the style. It looks like more like a Chinese Indiana Jones type deal.
I'd rather do a more Chinese rooted one. The Oily Magic, no.
The Oily Maniac.
Oily Maniac, no. It's a Greasy Strangler.
I know that and the Incredible Melting Man is a trio.
I guess between Sex and Zen and
Chinese Ghost Story.
Chinese Ghost Story.
Now, Chinese Ghost Story is going to be more like light. It's not going to be Sex and Zen's a Cat 3.
That's the Cat 3. That's just going to be, a
lot of rape.
Yeah. Well, then let's do Chinese Ghost Story.
Okay.
Then.
It might be an epic. I don't know. It's probably not more than 2 hours, but it'll be worth it. It's not going.
It'll be worth it.
It's not going to be a turd. Like
right.
I've always wanted to see it. I know it's not horror, but it's more fantasy.
Now I remember when I was a kid watching an animated movie, Chinese animated movie called Chinese Ghost Story, and I wonder
if it's the same story.
I wonder if they are, and I wonder if maybe in the future I can try finding that film again and
we can compare.
It.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So let's do Chinese Ghost Story, and then next week, the week after, we can pick another boring movie on your behalf.
Well, I'm actually thinking about doing this because there's 2 1980 movies, and I'm gonna have to take a couple off the list because I can't find subtitles of the list I was gonna do. So these 2 are not horror, but they're not even horror adjacent, but they're both made by my 2 favorite horror directors from 1980. You weren't even alive in 1980, let alone directing movies, and you wouldn't be my favorite director. Whatever you directed,
mean I wouldn't be your
whatever
favorite
you directed, I wouldn't care for. So, Night Riders by George Romero.
Oh, I do want to see that.
And Contraband by Lucio Fulci, the only Euro crime movie he did, and one of the last Euro crime movies, and super gory. I remember. Night Riders is really good.
I've heard about Night Riders, but I never watched it.
They're both really good and really different, and both 1980, and they both are definitely interested to someone who likes horror movies. You'd want to watch them.
Yeah.
Because who directed them.
Okay, so next week for sure, Chinese Ghost Story.
And then the week after that, either Night Riders or
Contraband. And then it's Sex and Zen, and then it's the other one.
Then we'll figure something out.
That's our whole month.
We're done.
All right, bye.
Okay, let's get into these questions, answers, and comments. MX, SVN, whatever, fucking very bizarre name. Were you the guy in that movie Paying Up 2021? Yes, I was. Directed by Justin Mills. Ilk Vomit. Martial Club has one of the best end fight scenes in Kung Fu history. Very good stuff, like I mentioned, above the camera. Cool. Nick Mua. Movies are truly magical times, so even mishaps can turn out okay. To make us last week, I asked your favorite happy accident or last minute change. So even mishaps can turn out okay or make us laugh. Think of the shark from Jaws, a.k.a. Bruce. We hardly ever see him because the puppet never really worked the way it was supposed to be. Happy accident for sure. Aragorn's shriek of anguish when he believes his friends are dead was actually Viggo Mortensen breaking his toe when he kicked a steel helmet instead of a rubber one. As for last-minute changes, James Duvall being cast as Frank the Bunny and Donnie Darko in place of the standard 6'1" blonde dude the casting agent wanted. The muscles from Brussels getting swapped out for Kevin Peter Hall, may he rest in peace, in Predator. The home invasion rape scene in Clockwork Orange wasn't working until Kubrick and McDowell decided to add a little song and dance. The rest is history. Uncomfortable as hell to watch, but still. Questions. What would you do if you found the monkey's paw? You know, I've watched enough horror anthologies and stuff like that. Maybe I wouldn't touch it at all. But I probably would make the mistakes. I'd wish, you know, for people that died, I wish there'd be some changes. I'd wish for money, but I'd give them caveats. I'd fuck up like everybody else at a certain point because I ain't got nothing to lose. Which Day of the Dead remake do you think is the crappiest? Oh boy. So the first one from 2006 or whatever it was, I mean, the Day of the Dead 2 Contagion, which isn't a remake, it's an unofficial sequel, is pretty bad. The Day of the Dead 2006 or whatever is pretty bad, but then that one from like shot in like Eastern Europe was also trash. But that one probably would have been more tolerable if it wasn't called Day of the Dead. But these movies just have they're so lifeless. It's not that they're even just bad, they're lifeless. It's not like they like swung for the fences and just fucked up or tried to do something different. They just tried to do basic garbage and put Day of the Dead's title on it, and they're just not very good and to be honest. So like I'll go with the Day of the Dead 2006 is the worst one. Just the one that I was most annoyed. I might have fell asleep during that one, even though it's probably technically the best one. It's the one that annoyed me the most. Is there a George Romero movie you aren't fond of? I don't personally remember loving Diary and Survival. There's moments that are brilliant, and I think if I rewatched them, I'd come around on them. Bruiser, I don't remember loving, but I only saw it the one time. And there's always Vanilla. It's not horrible. It's just very You know, it's just not anything that interests me. If George Romero's name wasn't on it, I most definitely wouldn't care at all about it. It's not horrible, and I would watch it just to see kind of George Romero's different. It's a different film. It's more of, you know, a drama, romance kind of movie. Give my regards to the cats and run if you hear Jeepers Creepers on the radio. I don't think it's going to happen. Fred Nunez, make a good double feature with, he basically says, makes another good double feature with another AIDS-related slasher from the 80s called City in Panic. Great review like always, Dave. 8mm starring Nicolas Cage. That's an underrated film from Joel Schumacher that nobody talks about, and it gets low reviews, but there are fans out there that like the film. I actually like it. I thought it was good. It could have been much darker if they went with the original script. If was directed with another director, maybe like an underground one, being a Hollywood, I actually liked the film. It had darkness beneath it. I like these snuff film crime dramas anyway, and Nicolas Cage thought he did good. I know Scream Factory realized there's a Blu-ray, and this is kind of hard to read because it has some, just maybe some grammatical errors. Realize a Blu-ray of the film a while back. I would like to see your thoughts and review of this one day. Yeah, I definitely would revisit 8mm. I saw it, on television or on rented tape, and it's one of these movies that it's been a long time, and definitely a movie you really wouldn't see be made in the mainstream, just the storyline alone. Explosive action. Simon, wait a minute. Dorado vanished with people's money for the Franco set already paid for. Very disappointing. I remember that. But I saw somebody mention that maybe if you sent them a message, they could get you something. I'm not 100% sure on that. Jesse Diaz, LA Age Jabber. What the fuck? Makes a good double feature. Another age-related slasher from 1980s called City in Panic. Great review like always, Dave. I might have actually mixed that up and put that under both. So Ken Coakley's got a lot to say here. Maybe I should read his last. I probably will. Elk Vomit makes a joke about it. Good Lord, Dave's going to need a bottle of water after he reads this out loud next week. Yeah. Uzi Suicide 666. That person. Oh, wait. Falling Down is definitely in my top 3 movies of all time. Danny Torkel. The shark not working in Jaws is the best happy accident in movie history. Ryan Vincent Logston. Singing in the Rain in A Clockwork Orange. And Nice Guy Eddie running over the orange balloon in Reservoir Dogs. James Turner. Jim Van Bember's Manson Family film, I think, stands out as a remarkable example of vision not only changing over the years, but being limited the budget, being unwilling to give up, and utilizing maximized problems like actors being 10 years older. Screwed up because I forgot to hit Seymour. That was probably one of the more interesting responses. I am sorry, I'm an idiot. But he continues, the accident being the film running out of budget and finished over a decade later. Happy part using the advanced age of the returning actors to add a unique depth to scope. If I didn't make that clear enough, not everyone's seen the film. Yeah, and the Manson Family, like he had to film over years, so he came back and added this element to it about, how the Manson family kind of affects the modern day, and there's people that worship Manson still, and it was interesting for sure. That adds a weird layer to it for sure. Mark Ball, the dude in the subway tunnel in Irreversible. It's so funny that the one of the biggest happy accidents is during the most brutal scene of a movie, and it adds that layer to it. Did I forget to press C more again? Why am I so dumb? Daniel Roebuck LaFleur, though not film per se, just depending on your view on it, but I've always loved the story of how Frank Silva, a set decorator, became Bob in Twin Peaks, all because his reflection in the mirror was actually captured on the film. Dave Lynch liked it so much he kept it in there. Very cool. Sebastian Sanjaro Aries, Michael J. Fox replacing Eric Stoltz after shooting for 6 weeks. Kaylee Gray, Vader's part in the end of Rogue One. Ian Iraza, Fulci adding the zombies to the end and beyond. Harrison Ford getting sick and shooting the swordsman in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah, that's great. And so here we go with Ken Coakley. Okay, in Jaws, when Brody tells Quint you're going to need a bigger boat after seeing the shark up close for the first time, that was ad-libbed. The producers said in interviews that they regretted greenlighting the film so soon after the novel came out because the technology was non-existent at the time. Now, you could probably make a shark movie with an iPhone. Jaws was a series what Bob Ross would call happy accidents. The mechanical shark wasn't working, so you rarely saw the shark. That along with when Hooper and Brody realize the shark is still loose, and Hooper says my favorite line, "You got a bigger problem than that, Martin. You still have a hell of a fish out there with a mouth about this big." Gives the shark even more a sense of mythos. The casting was also happy accidents. Sterling Hayden, The Godfather, Lee Marvin, The Dirty Dozen, and Ben Johnson, Wild Bunch, were all offered the Quint role, while Jeff Bridges, John Voight, Jan Michael Vincent were up for Hooper. George Lucas recommended Richard Dreyfuss after working with him on American Graffiti. Dreyfuss turned it down at first, then they approached Charles Grodin, who accepted, but Dreyfuss asked them to hire him after bombing in a movie called The Apprenticeship of Duddy Kravitz. Linda Harrison, who played Nova in Planet of the Apes, was promised the Mrs. Brody role because she was dating one of the producers. She got replaced by Lorraine Gray because her husband was Sidney Sheinberg, Steven Spielberg's mentor. The Brody role almost went to Tony Roberts, Popcorn, and Spielberg met Roy Schneider at a party. And yet another happy accident was when they shot real shark footage in Australia. A small man was supposed to get in the small cage to give scale to 12, 16-foot great shark. They gave the small man a scuba tank meant for children, but what they didn't know was the small person's respiratory system is still identical to the system of a person of average height, and the small man would run out of oxygen very quickly and suffocate. Then they came up with a proper tank, and the sharks arrived before they put the stunt double. The sharks were getting aggressive, and the small man refused to go in. Then one of the sharks got its nose stuck in the brittle holding the cage, and the shark, in panic, twisted its body around trying to break free. It finally did, but it destroyed the cage. The footage was used, and Hooper, who dies in the book, was supposed to die in the movie, ended up surviving. This wasn't a mistake, but an interesting effect that was used in 2 films. In Serpico, Al Pacino played a real cop who started as a cop in the mid-60s, so he had short hair and was clean-shaven. At the end of his career, he had long hair and a beard, so Al Pacino grew his hair long and grew a beard. Since movies are shot out of order, they started in the later years first. Then he shaved the beard and kept the handlebar mustache, and he cut his hair short, trimmed the mustache, and shaved the mustache for early years in. Rocky, they shot the last 2 rounds first while they were full makeup, while they took it little by little as they shot the rest of the fight backwards, so the first round was shot later. Also during the Gonna Fly Now montage, when Rocky reaches the top of the stairs and does a little dance at the top of the stairs museum, that was all shot backwards. So there we go. For this week's question of the week, since we talked about Dr. Lamb, I mentioned, Untold Story. What is your favorite movie based on a true crime? I might have asked that already, but let's do the entire thing. So I know I probably repeat my questions. It's not. You can always answer and talk about in depth as much as you want, and I'll read it on the show. But I might stop with the questions. I mean, I'm getting out of questions, and a lot of people don't answer, and it is what it is. So, anyways, let's hop into this update. Okay, first up we have World going to the World's Fair. I heard mixed things, but mostly positive, and the movie just sounded so different and unique that I kind of wanted to check it out, to be honest. So yeah, there we go. Which company released this? Utopia, which I've not bought as many Utopia titles as I probably should have, to be honest. Sorry, I'm gonna move some light over here, get a little bit brighter. So yeah, I think I bought a couple, maybe none. They released some more contemporary titles, but this one sounded more up my alley. Okay. Next up, we have from Altered Innocence, Jack Be Nimble, which I actually had a New Zealand import of this on DVD, and I never did watch it. So, yeah, this is one that I'm interested in checking out for sure. Very cool. Next up is Tremble All You Want. Is this a fun city? Now, let me see what this one is. See, I'm buying so much stuff, I'm getting lost in what everything is. Oh, Connie. This is like the Asian one. I tend to collect these ones because I'm into the strange Asian films for sure. So, yeah. Like I'm having trouble keeping up on all these partner labels. I'm gonna have to cut back. I don't wanna, but you know how it goes. Then we have here, we have a Picorama, Rollerbabies, Carter Stevens. In the not too distant future, she will be illegal, but there will be Rollerbabies. What the fuck? And a Mount of Venus. So I don't know if there's going to be any nudity on the front. We're okay. So another Picorama here from Vinegar Syndrome. No longer in the yearly subscriptions. That's cool. And then we have Heartbreakers. This is a fun city. Sorry, there's a little gap in between here. Raw Nerve from Culture Shock. This is a 1991 flick, if I'm not mistaken. 91, that's right. This looks super bizarre. Tex Cobb's in here. Glenn Ford, Tracy Lords, Ted Pryor, Jan Michael Vincent. That sounds like a lot of fun. So, yeah, Raw Nerve. Culture Shock has some pretty cool titles. Pretty cool company. Next up, Ravage. Same director of Sinister. This is a Saturn's Core, of course. Put a lot of the SOV crazy movies out. Very cool. This was originally put out on DVD by SRS, Sub Rosa Studios. I put these in a bad place, so it's like I'm reaching around. Satan's Children. This is the Egfa. Devil worshipping has changed them into Satan's Children. Introducing Stephen White as Bobby Douglas. So, yeah. Another Egfa. Cool stuff. Number 42 on the spine there. They're getting up there, man. I think I'm missing only a few of them. But, okay, next up is, how do you say this? LVX Aeterna. This is a Gaspar Noé movie. Gotta buy Gaspar Noé's movies. Thank God I Am an Atheist. Who is that? Ben Well. I think that's because Troy Howarth said that Fulci quoted that. Said, I wish I could be like that. You got a nice booklet in here. Looks pretty intense. I believe it is a 4K. This is Yellow Veil Pictures. Yellow Veil is a good company for sure. This is just a Blu-ray. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Cool. Nice hard box and everything like that. Next up, we have Kiss Me Monster and Two Undercover Angels. Jess Franco double feature. Franco's been getting a lot of love on disc lately. Very cool, though. Franco's directed 100 frickin' movies. 100. You do that as an exaggeration, you realize you're like 400 short. Franco's the only director you could exaggerate his numbers and still be wrong. And still be short. Next up is Vinegar Syndrome Archive. Cyber Vengeance. Number 25 on the releases. So. Some nice features on there. This one I don't know too much about. I did collect the Robert Davi's in there as a bad guy, of course. Debbie Rochon, maybe he's not the bad guy. So, not sure. I don't know too much about this. It looks like one of those 90s kind of action sci-fi flicks that were all over the video store as a kid. Shriek the Mutilated. This one kind of has a name recognition. I think a lot of people have heard of this one. Bigfoot flick, I believe, maybe. Is this the one that's supposed to is a Bigfoot and then it's not a Bigfoot or something like that? There's a couple of them out there. What year was this one? 1974. So I've actually never seen Shriek of the Mutilated. I haven't watched that many Bigfoot horror movies, unfortunately. I've seen a handful. And then we have Righting Wrongs. Yeah, Cynthia Rothrock. Big deluxe case here. It's a VSA, VS400. Boom, there we go. We got a nice book in here. Pretty cool. slipcover. There we go. That's the end of the update. I don't know if I'll have too much more coming in as of late. You know, I got to save up for Cinema Wasteland and everything like that. And, you know, it's just, you got to save money sometimes, you know. Life is short. Can't afford to buy everything. Anyways, we're going to hop back to that video. Okay, guys, thank you very much for watching. And as always, have a good one.
Me.